There is someone in your life right now who has access to that God never authorized. Not a stranger, not someone obviously dangerous, someone close, someone you have shared meals with, laughed with, trusted with things you have never told anyone else. Someone whose name in your phone does not make your stomach tighten, or at least it did not use. Someone you have been calling a friend, confidant, maybe even family, and something has been off. You cannot fully explain it. You just know that after certain conversation, you feel smaller than before they started. After certain interaction, drained in a way that has nothing to do with being tired. After time spent with certain people, you walk away feeling further from God rather than closer to Him. And you have been telling yourself that is just how relationships go sometimes. But what if it is not? What if that persistent draining, that quiet unsettledness, that feeling that something is wrong, but you cannot put your finger on what if that is God trying to get your attention about someone specific? What if He has been showing you something, and you have been explaining it away because confronting it is harder than ignoring it? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you 5 specific signs that God is actively exposing and removing someone from your life right now. And I need you to hear all 5, because the 5th sign is the one that most believers miss entirely. And missing it is exactly what keeps people stuck in relationships God already ended. Here is your confirmation that this is worth your full attention. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Above all else. Not above most things. Not above the obvious thing. Above everything. Because God understands something about the heart that most people never fully grasp. Whoever has access to your heart has access to the direction of your entire life, and He is extremely intentional about who He allows to hold that kind of influence. Not everyone in your circle belongs in your circle, and God has ways of making that clear. Here are 5 of them. Sign 1. Being around them consistently drains your spirit even when nothing dramatic happens. This is the sign that gets dismissed the fastest, and it gets dismissed the fastest because it sounds dramatic when you say it out loud. Nothing happened. They did not do anything specifically wrong. The conversation was fine on paper, but you left it feeling like something was taken from you that you cannot name and cannot get back quickly. I used to have a relationship like this. Someone I had known for years, someone I genuinely cared about. And I kept noticing that after we spent time together, I was not just physically tired, I was spiritually quieter. My desire to pray felt muted. My hunger for God felt dulled. And I told myself I was just being sensitive. I told myself real relationships take work. I told myself this was just how it was with certain people. What I did not ask was the question that would have changed everything much sooner. Is this relationship pulling me toward God or away from Him? 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. That word corrupts in the original Greek is phero. It means to spoil, to ruin, to cause deterioration over time. Not a single dramatic event. Gradual spoiling. The kind that happens so slowly you do not notice it until you look up one day and realize how far the deterioration has gone. Here is your diagnostic question right now. Think about the 3 people you spend the most consistent time with. After time with each of them, do you typically feel more spiritually alive or less? More hungry for God or less? More like who God created you to be or less? Your honest answer to that question about each person tells you more about that relationship than any conversation you could have about it. Spiritual drain is not always about what someone does wrong. Sometimes it is simply about whose presence you were never designed to absorb in large quantity, and God does not always remove those people with drama. Sometimes He just quietly makes the drain impossible to ignore. Sign 2. They consistently react negatively to your spiritual growth. Pay attention to this one, because it is subtle enough to miss, but significant enough to change the entire trajectory of your life if you ignore it. When God starts doing something new in your life, when your faith gets more serious, when your standards shift, when you start walking away from things that no longer align with who God is calling you to be, pay attention to how the people around you react to that growth. The right people celebrate your becoming. They might not fully understand every step. They might even be challenged or convicted by it, but at the core they want you to flourish. They lean towards your growth even when it inconveniences them. The wrong people get uncomfortable with your growth because your growth exposes something in them. Your healing confronts their chaos. Your discipline challenges their compromise. Your obedience to God creates a kind of silent accusation in the room that has nothing to do with anything you said, just who you are becoming, and so they push back. Not always dramatically. Sometimes it is low-key. A sarcastic comment about how you have gotten too religious. A joke that lands just a little too pointed. A consistent, subtle pressure back toward who you used to be, the version of you that was easier for them to be around because it made fewer demands on them by comparison. Amos 3:3 asks, do 2 walk together unless they have agreed to do so? agreement and direction. If you are moving toward God and someone in your life is consistently pulling in the opposite direction, not walking with you, but against the direction God has you moving in, that friction is not just relational friction. That is a directional incompatibility that God is making impossible to ignore. Ask yourself honestly, is there someone in your life who consistently feels uncomfortable with your spiritual growth, who makes you feel like your faith is too much, or your standards are unrealistic, or your commitment to God is slightly embarrassing? That discomfort they feel is not about you being judgmental. It is about the fact that your growth is exposing a gap between where they are and where they are unwilling to go. And if you keep shrinking your growth to keep the peace, you will eventually shrink it enough to lose the direction God has you moving in entirely. Sign 3. You feel the need to hide parts of your faith around them. This one right here is the sign that hits closest to home for most people. And it hits closest because it is the most subtle and the most normalized. You start editing yourself, not lying, not pretending, just quietly leaving certain things. You do not mention what God showed you in prayer this morning. You do not bring up the scripture that changed something in you this week. You do not talk about what you are believing God for because you already know the energy in the room will shift if you do. So you keep the deepest parts of your faith private around them. And you call it being appropriate. You call it meeting people where they are. But what you are actually doing is compartmentalizing, living one version of yourself in God's presence and a slightly smaller version in theirs. I did this for longer than I want to admit. I had friendships where I was low-key ashamed of how seriously I took my faith. Not because they made fun of it openly, but because the energy around the topic was always slightly dismissive. And over time, I stopped bringing it up. And then I stopped being fully myself around them. And then I started wondering why those friendships felt hollow without realizing that I had hollowed them out myself by leaving the most important part of me at the door every time I walked in. Matthew 5:14-15 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and it gives light to everyone in the house." You were not designed to dim your light to make people comfortable. You were designed to shine it. And if there are relationships in your life where you consistently feel the need to turn the brightness down, where the fullness of who God is making feels like too much to bring into that space, that is not a relationship problem. That is God showing you that certain spaces were never designed to hold the full version of you. The right people in your life do not make you feel like your faith is too much. They make you feel like it is exactly right. Sign 4. The relationship has a consistent pattern of one-sided investment. This is the one nobody wants to say out loud because it sounds selfish, but it is not selfish. It is discernment, and there is a massive difference between those two things. You reach out first, always. You check in, you show up, you pray for them. You remember the things they mention. You invest emotionally, spiritually, sometimes financially. And the reciprocity is either minimal or conditional, meaning it shows up when they need something from you and disappears when they do not. No cap one-sided relationships are one of the enemy's most effective long-term strategy because they do not feel like an attack. They feel like loyalty. They feel like you being a good friend. They feel like you being the bigger person. And so you keep pouring and pouring into a vessel that has a hole in the bottom, wondering why the investment never seems to produce any return and why you always feel like you are running low. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, "Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up." That passage is describing mutual support, mutual investment, mutual return. Two people both contributing to something that makes both of them stronger. A relationship where only one person is doing all the lifting is not what God designed. And a one-sided relationship that consistently depletes is not loyalty. It is a slow drain on the very resources God intended for you to use to fill your purpose. Ask yourself, who in your life right now would consistently show up for you the way you consistently show up for them? If the list gets shorter than you expected, pay attention to the gap between what you give and what flows back. God designed you for relationships that have a return, not relationships that just take. Sign 5. God has been giving you a consistent unease in your spirit that you have been overriding with your mind. And here it is. The most important sign on this entire list, and the most dangerous one to ignore. Your spirit knows before your mind does. The Holy Spirit communicates not always in dramatic visions or audible words, but in that quiet, settled unease that arrives when something is not right and refuses to fully leave no matter how many times you rationalize it away. You have felt it. That persistent, low-grade knowing that something about this relationship is not what it appears to be. That instinctive hesitation before you share something vulnerable. That check in your spirit when a certain person's name comes up in a certain context. That feeling after a specific conversation that sits with you longer than it should and does not fully fully resolve no matter how many times you replay it and tell yourself everything is fine. And every time that feeling has arrived, you have done something with it. You have explained it away. You have told yourself you are being paranoid. You have told yourself you are judging them unfairly. You have told yourself real faith does not operate on feeling. You have used every reasonable sounding argument available to override what your spirit has been consistently trying to tell you. John 16:13 says, "When he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all truth, including truth about the people around you." The Holy Spirit was not given to you only for worship services and Bible study. He was given to you for the whole of your life, including your relationship, including the ones that look fine on the surface but feel off underneath. Here is the thing about spiritual discernment that most people never fully understand. It does not always come with evidence. It does not always come with a clear reason you can articulate to someone else. It comes as a quiet knowing that is consistent and persistent, that keeps showing up no matter how many times you try to silence it with logic. Romans 8:14 says, "Those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God." Led by the Spirit, not led only by what you can see and prove and explain. Led by a Spirit who sees what you cannot see and knows what you do not yet know. If your spirit has been consistently uneasy about someone, and you have been consistently overriding that unease with your mind, stop overriding it. Ask God directly. Not, is this person good or bad? Ask him, what are you trying to show me about this relationship that I have not been willing to see? That question opens a conversation that might be the most important one you have this year, because I want to be real with you about something before we close. This is not about finding reasons to cut people off. This is not permission to be suspicious of everyone around you or to walk through your relationships looking for reasons to exit them. That is not discernment, that is fear. And God did not give you a spirit of fear. What God is doing when he exposes and removes certain people from your life is not punishing you with loss. He is protecting you from something you cannot yet see. He is creating space for something he is trying to bring in. He is clearing the ground before he builds something that cannot coexist with what was occupying the space. Every time God has removed someone from my life that I was not ready to release, I eventually looked back and understood what he was protecting from. Not always immediately, not always without grief, but eventually the clarity came. And with it, the recognition that what felt like loss was actually alignment. What felt like rejection was actually divine redirection towards something, and someone that actually fit who God was making me into. Psalm 1:3 says, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers." Planted by streams of water, fruitful, stable, not withered. That is the life God is moving you toward. And sometimes the path to that life requires walking away from circles that were quietly pulling you toward drought, even when those circles felt comfortable, even when they felt familiar, even when releasing them felt like loss. Here is what you do right now. Not someday, not after more analysis. Right now, bring the name that has been in the back of your mind this entire video to God. You know which name it is. It surfaced somewhere in sign 1 or sign 2 or sign 3, and it has been sitting there quietly while you finished watching. Do not try to figure out what to do about it yet. Just bring it to God honestly. Say, "Father, I have been feeling something about this relationship that I have been ignoring. I am done ignoring it. Show me what you have been trying to show me. Give me the clarity and the courage to respond to what you reveal." That prayer is not dramatic. It is not a declaration of war against anyone. It is simply you finally giving God permission to say what he has been trying to say about something you have been too afraid to let him address. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight, a line, moving in the right direction with the right people beside you." God is not exposing your circle to hurt you. He is exposing it to heal you. He is removing what was blocking your next season so that what he has prepared for that season actually has room to arrive. The people God removes make room for the people God sends, and the people God sends are worth every hard conversation, every uncomfortable transition, and every moment of grief that came with releasing what had to go. Trust the process. Trust the exposure. Trust the God who loved you enough to show you the truth about your circle before it cost you something you cannot afford to lose. If this video named something you have been feeling but could not put words to, share it right now with someone you trust who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more scripture-based content that goes deeper than surface-level faith, and drop a comment below which of these 5 signs hit you hardest today. Your honesty in that comment might be exactly what someone else needed to read to finally trust what their spirit has been telling them. God is exposing your circle. Let him finish the work.